Attorney Jonathan Elson, reminding you that if you've been injured in an auto accident, it's important to have somebody on your side. When you need a lawyer,
you need Nelson.
Sure. Sunday morning, right around the midnight hour, we were dispatched as part of a mutual aid assignment to Amargosa, specifically the Lathrop Wells area, for the initial report of a commercial structure fire involving a gas station. Crews responded with other resources, including Amargosa Volunteer Fire Department. As we were responding, we were notified that the building was fully involved. We arrived on location and confirmed that the initial reports were correct. The commercial structure, which had a convenience store, it had a restaurant, and also supplied the power to the fuel island, was well involved. Crews completed a scene size up risk assessment, determined that there was exposure vehicles, exposure structures at the rear of the property, including propane. So immediately commenced into protecting those structures and then focusing on the suppression effort. It was kind of a unique design of building. It was block construction, but had a number of former power pole type structures that gave it the simulated look of a fort that were affixed to those structures. So the majority of that area that ran along the facade was well involved, but there was no suppression. The sprinkler systems didn't protect those particular areas. Heavy fire within. The sprinkler system did kick in, unknown exactly what the extent of the performance of the sprinkler system was. There were no injuries. Crews had it under control in about an hour and a half after arrival.
What do you do and what precautions do you take when it's a gas station fire? How do you access the shutoff? And there's also propane.
Right. All those devices were shut off in the early stages of the fire, so the fuel island was without power. And then, of course, the propane service was shut down at the building. Later on, AmeriGas responded with their crews and secured the power, or the propane, excuse me, to the building as well. Valley Electric responded and secured the power to the complex, and the Deputy State Fire Marshal was requested, and with the investigators from both Carson City and Las Vegas responding. It was actually Amargosa Volunteer Fire Department's primary response area. The mutual aid resources, including Plum Valley Fire Rescue and the NNSS, they came in, we worked as a unified command and determined what the resources were. One of the big issues we had was we couldn't get to the yard hydrant for the property with the standby tanks because it was in the collapse zone, so we had to go to secondary sources for water. I think the fire advancement grew quickly. It had an extraordinary fuel load both inside and outside the building. The trailer park was considered an exposure area, and that was protected with no damage occurring there.
And then what's the State Fire Marshal saying at this point? Do you know? They're
in the middle of their investigation, and so it'd be premature to state exactly what they're thinking at this point.
There was recent construction in there, I heard, with the restaurant?
Don't know the extent of that, but I know that is part of the ongoing investigation. Everything had just closed about an hour prior to the fire. No injuries.